If you're not afraid, then you're not sharp. When you walk along the street at night and it's dark and you're a little bit intimidated and you're a little bit scared because you're in a bad part of town, your hearing is sharper. Your eyes are sharper. Your reactions are quicker. So I think that fear is a fantastic thing in the right scenario.
But there were days where me and Tristan, when we were finally in the same cell, there's times we laughed like we've never laughed before. I'll sit and admit that's absolutely not really true. I feel like if you're going to be the kind of person who strives for an exceptional life, which is what I am, I think I'd be a coward if I said I want an exceptional life, but I only want it to be exceptional in a good way. I don't think that's genuine. I want an exceptional life. And exceptional means away from the norm. And away from the norm means flying your Bugatti on a jet to Dubai and taking your own plane to meet it there. And it also means a Romanian dungeon with cockroaches on New Year's Eve. They're both exceptional experiences. And the times I was with my brother and it was just him and I, we truly had some genuine days where we laughed like we always laugh. Me and him laugh and have fun on a private jet, and we laughed and had fun in a Romanian prison cell because that's just who we are. And I also have to give my brother some credit while we're here. I would like to state that I absolutely, genuinely believe I have the best brother in the world. And I'll tell you why. I always knew I had the best brother in the world, but he proved it in jail, and I'll tell you why. My brother was put in jail for being my brother. He hasn't said any videos. He hasn't said anything on the internet. He hasn't said any of the things I've supposedly said. The Matrix isn't attacking him. The BBC doesn't print about him, nothing. Why was Tristan Tate in jail? Because it's Tate brothers. So they just took him and threw him in a cell. Now what's interesting is, when I got out of jail, so many people near me got heat. Old business partners got heat with the tax. They got hit with like tax paperwork, and they were calling everyone who's ever known me, and ex-girlfriends got heat, and all these people got heat. And some people complained, some people didn't. But some people were like, oh, since you've been in jail, it's been so stressful for me. The media's outside my house. I'm like, stressful for you? I was in jail. What do you want me to do? And people were complaining at me. And as these people started to complain, I sat there, I said to Tristan, you got thrown in jail purely for being my brother. And never for a fraction of a second did you even moan. Not even for a fraction of a second did he say, oh, they only put me here because of you. Why am I here? I'm innocent. This has nothing to do with me. Nothing. In fact, he said the absolute opposite. He said, I am so glad I went to jail with you. I would be furious if they sent you here by yourself. If they're going to lock you up, they better lock me up. And there was a time, about 2 months in, because there's less media pressure on Tristan, they were talking about releasing Tristan first. And he was saying, no, I won't leave without Andrew.
There are certainly times where you need to be calm and you can't let it overcome you. But I think fear is a fantastic thing. I do have fears that I have not yet overcome, and I don't want to overcome them. I do have the fear of not being able to take care of my family, for example, if the Matrix attack is successful. I do have fears of, I call it fear, but this actually sounds quite arrogant. It's not a fear. But I love now, and I'm very accustomed to having anything I want all of the time. I would hate to go back. So I do wake up and think, I don't really feel like working today, but Andrew, you can have anything you want all of the time. Even when I was a professional fighter, I wanted to win. But the primary reason I wanted to win is so that I could make him lose. It wasn't about me winning. It was about him losing. He spent 8 weeks calling out my name and telling the world he's going to beat me, and telling his wife, don't worry, wife, it's going to be okay. I'm going to win. I'm going to pay for the kids. Don't worry. I love you. I'm training so hard. And he's told the whole world he's going to beat me. So by forcing him to lose in front of his family, that gave me satisfaction more than winning itself. I've always been attached to the dark of the world. I feel like the dark of the world has always motivated me. So on the yin and the yang scale, I have a lot of light, and I have so much beauty, and I have a very blessed life.
Yeah.
But it is because I've been so deeply in the dark and understand the realities of how the world works. But that's just always been what motivated me.
If there's a business problem, I'm the one who's like, shit, we have to fix this now, shit. And Tristan's the one like, Andrew, you are so ridiculously rich, chill. But we need that. We need both, right? But he couldn't be that chilled if I wasn't the way I was, because he wouldn't be successful. Totally. So you need the opposites. So everyone goes, oh, you and your brother are so close. We're so close because we're actually very different people. But yeah, he was amazing in jail. And even afterwards, I still struggle to sleep. He sleeps fine, because I think my experience of jail was a far more stressful one, but I adopted that. Now, I'm not saying I couldn't have done what Tristan did. I could have done what Tristan did. If I were to go into jail and say, your MO is to not care, I could not care. But my MO was, how do I get out of this Matrix attack? So I was the most stressed I've ever been in my life. So that's carried over. So I don't sleep. He sleeps fine, but he slept fine in jail. So why wouldn't you sleep fine now, right? So yeah, it was interesting, but I have to give him props because it's amazing to have that level of clarity. And he said things which were absolutely and utterly true, things I already knew, but it was nice to hear.
I have no problems admitting that I am motivated by the dark of the yin and the yang, and I have no problems admitting that my ego motivates me and that I'm motivated by pride and I like to feel proud. And I do things that allow me to feel proud. And as long as I stay realistic and I don't become egocentric, then I feel like it makes me as competitive as possible.
So you keep upskilling yourself?
Well, you have to always push the limits, right? What's the point in living otherwise?
What are you doing right now to just keep yourself up?
Well, this is the thing. It's in general. It doesn't matter if you go to the gym and you try and lift more weights. It doesn't matter if you try and make more money that you can't possibly spend.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you need more beautiful children.
Yeah.
You always need something to do, right? And you always need somewhere to push. I think there's a lot of men out there who perhaps are battling with themselves because the matrix and system has told them, no, you're not supposed to think that way. You're not supposed to be that way. You're egotistical. You're driven by pride. You should get rid of all that. And you should, I don't know what, become soppy goo instead, just some porridge mess that the matrix can program. But no, you're supposed to wake up and look in the mirror and say, this is my name. This is who I am. I'm going to be the best version of myself. And everybody's going to respect me. And I'm going to force them to, because that's the way the world works. Respect can be squeezed out of people. They don't have to like you. You can't squeeze someone liking you. You can't grab space-time from the universe and force everybody to like you. But you can force everybody to respect you, whether they want to or not. All of my haters respect me. They sit there, this guy's so bad, so bad, so bad. But they can't say I'm unsuccessful. They can't say I'm not intelligent. They can't say I'm not rich. I'm still worthy of all their time and attention. They've dedicated their lives to me. So I've forced them to respect me. If I was a nobody, then they wouldn't be reporting on this garbage case of mine. So you can force respect from people. And this is actually most observable with women. There's a whole lot of women who are dating men they don't even like.
Yeah.
And they're sleeping with men they don't even like, but they respect him.
Because it's the security that they offer, right?
That's right. The security they offer and the respect. And they can say, I don't even like him that much. In fact, I hate him, but I just do as he says. Why is that? Because they respect you. So I'm driven by that. And I guess, I've talked to psychiatrists, and there's some psychiatrists who would argue that it's insecurity to feel like you need to prove yourself to the world all the time. And I think that's part of the psyop. They convince you, you're insecure if you want to prove you're capable. If you want to prove that you're different and intelligent and interesting, you're insecure.
They always say that you're born abundant any which ways. Then why is the rest of the world poor?
Well, there you go. Yeah. But they say you should have no interest in what people think about you. That makes you insecure. And that is the largest psyop in history. To wake up and say, I'm not going to be successful. I'm not going to be strong. I'm not going to be interesting. I'm not going to go out there and test myself. And I'm not going to put honor on my last name, because I would hate for people to think I'm insecure. I'm secure. So it doesn't matter if you think I'm a loser. And it doesn't matter if I am a loser. So I'm just going to sit at home and I'm secure. No, it's not insecurity. It's called duty to your last name and honor. And that's just another one of the many different tentacles inside of the psyop octopus, trying to snatch any motivation left from the masculine spirit. If I was a man who was unsuccessful and I hadn't met my physical capability or my financial capability or my mental capability or my spiritual capability, I would be insecure. I would sit and say, this is a failed version of who Andrew Tate could be, and I'm not happy with who it is. And I think that every man should be like that, so he gets up off his ass and does something. I learned my mindset in battle. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learned in the reality of the real world. Yeah.
Your winner, fighting out of the blue corner from the USA, Andrew the King Cobra Tate!
I don't know if the fire inside of me is any bigger than it is inside of every other man. And I think that every man at home watching this, if they don't have the things they want in life, should feel a degree of resentment towards themselves or disappointment, understanding that they have the same desire and drive that I have. Mm-hmm. They just allowed themselves to be psyoped out of it. I don't believe in the societal paradigms in which they have tried to construct this idea of happiness. I don't believe or subscribe to the way that happy and sad is currently understood by the masses of the population. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learned in the reality of the real world. Yeah. I don't need to read a self-help book. I don't need to read about motivation or confidence. I think if you are anything less than absolutely distraught, you are happy. You're a version of happy.
It's like saying gray is a version of black, right? No matter how light the gray is, you can still call it a version of black. And unless you've gone through an event, which hopefully doesn't happen too often, like the passing of a family member or something that's truly destructive and detrimental to your mindset, besides these events, which hopefully only happen a few times in your life, you should be happy. If you're not crying or paralyzed in silence due to the absolute magnitude of a detrimental circumstance or the absolute magnitude of a negative event, then you are a version of happy. So I am always happy is the short answer. I don't believe in not being happy. I don't believe in not saying to myself I'm happy. I'm always a version of happy. And this idea of chasing happiness and always being concerned and preoccupied with how happy you are is actually the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, I think, in the world today. Especially men who wake up and go, oh, I don't really feel happy, so I need to get happier. And that's how they end up down a hedonistic path of drugs or alcohol or gambling, chasing pleasure. I don't care how I feel. I don't care if I feel happy or sad. It doesn't really affect what I do each day. I do the exact same things. I act the exact same way. I don't care. I don't put weight to the significance of the emotion. So I always consider myself a happy person, but if I woke up and I was slightly less happy one day than another, it wouldn't affect anything I do, and I wouldn't put any relevance to it. I'm human, and that's life. And so, am I any happier now that I have hundreds of millions of dollars than before I was broke? Not really, but I was never unhappy. I'm the same state that I was then that I am now. I have work to do, and I will do it. It's as simple as that. Also, there's no light without dark. And there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain. And no matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends. And you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness. As long as I am alive, which is a struggle, unfortunately, in the current climate, but as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God, and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. I have things to do.
You're too busy to think about that.
I'm too busy. I have things to do every single day. I have very important things to do, and how I feel really is not going to affect how I complete those tasks.
Right.
And when I speak to men, they say I'm unhappy or I need to be happier. I think that's absolutely the wrong frame of life. You're a man, you have duty, you have honor, you have things you should be doing regardless of how you feel. And the people who are perma-obsessed with happiness or sadness, I just think it's the wrong paradigm to view the lens of life. I think you should get up and do what needs to be done. I learned my mindset in battle. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learned in the reality of the real world. I don't need to read a self-help book. I don't need to read about motivation or confidence. I've been in the cage smashing people's faces in. I don't need to learn any of that stuff. So I learn in reality, and reality is always going to be a better teacher than a book, because you're not learning when you read books. You're regurgitating. You may be reading, but I don't believe you're truly learning. My coach used to say, if it doesn't hurt, you didn't learn. And I think he's completely right. And it's the same with entire life. You see people make the same mistake over and over again until it eventually goes really wrong. And it's only then they'll change.
Then they change.
So absolutely. So I learned how to become self-disciplined and become self-motivated and work hard, and I learned how to face adversity and find strength within myself I didn't know I had, because people were trying to kill me inside of a cage. I think as a young man, if you want to get your life better, the most important thing you have are your waking hours. You need to be out competing all the other people on the planet who are hyper competitive, and if you think you have 8 hours to sit there and just read a book, you are wasting your time. You are too slow, and you are going to lose against people like me, because we're just too quick, too fast. Our networks are too various and large, and we make decisions too quickly, and we absorb information too quickly, and you're just behind it. I understood from a young age I had to stick up for myself and defend my ideas, and my ideas were always different, and I was always an outcast, I guess, to a degree, and that certainly played a part later on in my life, because it's been very easy for me to look at the programming the Matrix is trying to push down my throat and just say no. Dad had his own philosophies. We definitely never read any philosophical books. We didn't study any
But I mean,
old philosophers. But he'd say things now, which you can even still see his Twitter. If you want to see a philosopher, you can go through his Twitter now and see all of the things he was saying when he was still alive.
Yeah.
But I think life is actually pretty simple. There's action and reaction. There's cause and effect. There's brave people and there's cowards. A lot of people are self-interested. And if you understand the basis of these motivations, it's not difficult to work out why the world functions the way it does. And cause and effect and action and reaction are very real. And I think one of the largest plagues we have in the world today is a lack of action amongst people. And deciding not to act is an action in and of itself, right? And that's the only philosophy you need for life. If you want something to move, you have to move it. If you sit and wait for somebody else to move it, you're a coward. Yeah. And you're just hoping it's going to happen. And that's why I don't understand when a lot of people who see where the world is going and see the future that's going to be laid out for their children kind of just hope and pray. A lot of people, I think all men are born with a masculine desire to conquer Earth. And I think you're only going to be happy if you're conquering. But if you're living a semi-comfortable life and your mother is nice to you and you're not under any pressure and the Matrix is telling you it's fine to just be average, well, then you're going to be sitting there being average. I was never comforted. I was never given an easy life. I never had anyone in my life who was saying, don't worry, Andrew, it's okay to just be this guy. I was told the opposite all the time. I don't know if the fire inside of me is any bigger than it is inside of every other man. And I think that every man at home watching this, if they don't have the things they want in life, should feel a degree of resentment towards themselves or disappointment, understanding that they have the same desire and drive that I have. They just allowed themselves to be psyoped out of it. They've allowed the Matrix or whoever to convince them it's okay to not be the man they could be. And I never allowed anybody to do that to me. I know that I'm right because the way I think allows me to be correct in every scenario I've ever been in. I know when someone's going to hurt me. I know when my time's almost up. I know how to make a bunch of money. I know all of it. I've never been wrong about anything. Every time I've ever been truly sad, again, it was beneficial for me to feel that way. And yes, there was a point when that was semi-conscious and now it's not conscious at all. If I start to feel angry, it's not conscious. I am angry completely and utterly, and I trust my body and my spirit that I'm supposed to be angry and I'm supposed to act within that frame. And that's what true enlightenment is, because thinking outside of it and being conscious of it is good, but it takes time. And often in the most extreme scenarios of life, the one thing you will not have is very much time. There has to be instant and complete decisions. And there has to be final scenarios, what's the word I'm looking for? Consequences. The bad things that are happening to you are what you need to become the man that you want to be. I can't talk about women because I'm not one. I actually think trauma is terrible for women because it masculinizes them. They become cold. And that's not attractive, right? We want feminine, pure, protected women. I don't want a woman to ever go through anything bad in her life. I think a man should go through it for her and protect her, because I think that's how she's her best self as a woman. But I think to be your best self as a man is the absolute opposite. And when someone emails me and says, this has happened to me, I'm like, good. No, what do you mean good? It's terrible. How else are you going to become important? How else are you going to find endless fire to get up and struggle in the face of the competition that's out here in the world? How else are you're going to do all that with a nice, cushy life? If any man's honest with himself, think about the biggest transformative stages in your life. Think about the times you got the most work done. It was a bad part of your life. You were heartbroken, or you lost a house, or broke, or whatever. That's when you did shit. When everything was fine, when the woman's still sucking dick, the mortgage is paid, dinner's on time, it's kind of doop-de-doop-de-doo, little by little, do a little bit of work, do a little bit of relax. But the big events come from trauma. This is it. So it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code to climb the mountain. So when I get a message from whoever and he goes, my wife left me, I'm devastated. I say, I understand. I completely understand how hard it can be to lose a woman that you've given your entire life to. And you've done so many nice things. And then because of one thing you did, Her innate and absolutely insane level of ungratefulness has turned her bitter, and she now talks to you like she hates you over one thing you've done after thousands of efforts showing how dedicated you are to her. And even now that you're prepared to die for her, she doesn't give a shit about you. I understand that pain. But my answer is, good, it's still good. Now take all of that pain, and instead of emailing me, do this. And then you're gonna become the kind of person that women don't leave. Then you win.
I'm ready to kill. I don't do this for fun. This is not sport to me. I don't enjoy it. I hate training. I hate fighting. This is war. I was born for this. I have no choice. I'm in there to kill. That's it. Pain. That's all I know.
So for someone to come along and try and convince me that my mental model and my way of viewing the world is inaccurate, it's going to be extremely difficult, because I'm going to sit and say, well, my mental model produces X to this accuracy, and you're a dumbass. So what can you predict, my friend? And that's the reality of the world. So my stories are being told, the lessons of them at least, when I'm speaking. Yes, I am misunderstood. I'm misunderstood because the things I say are a large web of nuanced, and they're interlinked. And if you take one individual part from the web, then completely I understand how some things can be massively misunderstood. I also understand that most people have no interest in the truth and no interest in digging deeper and finding out the truth about a person or a scenario. If you have 2 arms and 2 legs and you can think, and you're not trying your absolute best, that's the reason you're not lucky. He doesn't like you. He likes the people which show him the beauty of his own creation. He likes to give somebody building blocks and them to build something amazing. It's the best thing about being a man. You get to build who you are, right? You can decide if you want to be a funny comedian or a musician or a kickboxing world champion or fight the Matrix. You can decide whatever you want to be. God loves to see that. Those people, for some reason, seem to be enormously lucky, right? The person who goes, I don't have to prove anything to God. I don't owe all of my ancestors any effort. You know, for 5,000 years, people were dodging saber-toothed tigers and catching the plague and running from Genghis Khan just for my stupid ass to be born. I don't owe them anything. I don't owe them a thing because I want to play video games. These people are fucking losers. You should walk through Earth with force inside of you. As I walked into this hotel reception, everybody looked. Not because they know who I am, but because as I move, even if it's behind their head, people feel something and they go, it's an energy that comes from brutal competence. It's almost like an evolutionary thing where a rabbit can just smell a fox. It just knows. That's what happens when a predator walks in a room, even amongst humans. You pay attention next time you're in a restaurant. If a man who's truly dangerous walks in, nearly every other man kind of looks up at the same time. You feel it. You need to or you don't survive. We've evolved with that to live. That's who I am. I couldn't imagine not being that man. I've done that because I've been trying to prove myself to my lineage my entire life. I wake up every day with something to prove. I have hundreds of millions of dollars. I wake up and think, fuck, more. I'm in fantastic shape, 4 times world champion. Fighting the Matrix out here by myself, more. I will have to be braver. I must try harder. All I do is prove myself. So when I hear people go, I don't have nothing to prove, then you're a fucking loser. Peasants have never felt like they needed to prove anything. But kings felt like they needed to go and conquer land. Isn't that it's coincidental that the king, who already had it all, felt like he needed to go to some far-flung land and conquer it and take it and prove he's the king. But the peasants, oh, I don't have to prove nothing to nobody. You're a fucking loser then. You're a dummy. I absolutely and utterly completely have everything to prove to everybody all of the time. That's who I am. I will prove anything to anybody. If I sit and say X, I will prove it to anyone. I can be checked at any time. If someone would have come up to me in that lobby and argued with my ideas, I would have proved that my ideas are sound. If they would have attacked me, I would have destroyed them completely and absolutely. That's who I am. So yes, I have a lot to prove, my friend. And until the day I die, it will remain. And this is the true height of the slave mind. If you can convince somebody to have a strong emotional reaction about a subject they don't even understand, imagine the level of slave these people are. Imagine if every time you saw the color red, you just lost your mind. You're a slave. You're controlled. Every single time I've been furiously angry or even in a murderous rage, it's been a very appropriate time to be so. And I don't mean appropriate because of the reasoning. I'm not saying I had a good reason to be angry. I'm saying that it was the best decision at the time. Every time I've ever been truly sad, again, it was beneficial for me to feel that way. There are times in life there are times in life when murderous rage is the best possible option on the table.
Like when?
There are times in life where if you're genuinely threatened, the best possible emotion you can feel is murderous rage, right? There's times when it's appropriate. And there's times when it's good to be sad, and there's times when it's good to be empathetic, and there's times when it's good to be ruthlessly psychopathically cold. So I think enlightenment is making sure that your brain and soul and spirit are trained in a way that the emotions you feel at any given time are the best possible card in the deck. Of all the options you have in the playbook, depending on the scenario, your own spirit gives you the exact perfect way to feel to handle that scenario in the most effective and compendious way possible.
I knew I needed to become successful and become a kickboxer and get money. And I knew all of these things from a very young age. And I remember being 17, 18, seeing a Ferrari on the street and being like, fuck, I need to get one of them. I just kind of knew inside. And I knew it, and it's worked out for me. That's all great. But now I use hypergamia against women completely because I know that they'd rather share an alpha than have 100% of a beta.
Right.
I know that even though they may sleep with me and then cry their eyes out the next day because I'm with some other girl, but I know they're not going to leave. If you always have a higher purpose, then a woman can never truly control you, and she can never truly destroy you, and your frame can't be broken. If I had to go train for a fight and the girl was complaining, well, then she could fuck off and leave because I ain't getting my ass kicked for nobody, not you or no one else. I have to go fight in front of 10,000 people, so I don't care if it's your birthday. I'm going to the fucking gym.
I don't care. Put someone in front of me. Put someone in front of me. That's all I have to say.
Do I enjoy training? No. Do I enjoy cutting weight? No. Am I nervous? Yes. Do I think to myself, what am I doing? Yes. Completely. Unfortunately, it's one of those things you're either born with or you're not. And the only way I can explain it to try and make it make any sense is that if I'm not doing something which is either extremely difficult or extremely stressful, I'm in a perpetual state of crippling boredom. I can't explain it. I see other people live their lives and they're like, oh, I can't wait for the weekend because I want to watch this movie. I think, who cares about a movie? You're looking forward to the weekend for a movie? Looking forward to the weekend to get drunk? Like, these things to me are so mundane. They mean nothing. And if I don't fight, if I'm not in a situation where I'm stressed or worried or concerned, I'm just perpetually bored. And boredom's crippling. If you're an intelligent person and you've got a good brain on your shoulders, you can't just sit there bored, you know? So most smart people take the academic route to avoid boredom. They learn, but that's never really interested me either. Although I've always been an intelligent guy and I've always done well academically, it never really interested me. And then I see people climb Mount Everest or jump off buildings or do base jumping, or the guy who jumped from space. People think, what's he doing? He's crazy. I understand. Because some people can't live normal lives. Some people cannot just function 9 to 5 office job, get drunk at the weekends. That is not for some individuals, and it's not for me. So I have to find something which keeps me physically tired enough to stop me going AWOL, and mentally tired enough. And I've chosen fighting, because without this, when I'm not in training, I wake up every day and think, okay, what am I gonna do today? It's 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, I'm bored, everyone's at work, I'm bored, and I'll end up doing something crazy. I'll either end up drunk or on the Eurostar, or, you know, it's just a random lifestyle, because I'm constantly looking for never-ending entertainment, and it doesn't exist. I think the only thing that could stop me fighting is if I had enough money to constantly entertain myself. Unless I'm a billionaire, I need something that keeps me focused and keeps me occupied in life. With fighting, I have to train twice a day, and I have to train hard, and the stress it brings in every aspect can replace fun, and my mind is occupied. It occupies me. It's the only way I can try and explain it. It occupies me, and I could never stop doing this even if I lost 100 fights, because I'm not built to live a normal existence. I can't do it. I couldn't just have a kid with some girl and sit at home and work a little bit and relax. I've never relaxed my entire life. I don't know what relaxing is. It's just not me.
So I always had a higher purpose, and that allowed me naturally to build a frame where I learned that it's better to never submit, and that relationships are happier if I never submitted. So I always kind of had that. So I kind of learned everything I knew by just being preoccupied with something completely separate. And it was something that took a lot of my time and 100% of my concentration. So That's kind of where I learned my frame. And now even when I stop fighting, my frame's the same. I believe the most miserable existence on earth is living a life pretending to be something you're not. I really believe it. And that's why I don't for a second hide what I do or apologize to anybody. If you look at what I do and it offends you, the hate is inside of you. The hate ain't inside of me. You need to go look in the mirror and deal with your own problem. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. And I'm the same with women. If you get with me and then you start complaining about how I am, you better fucking leave, because I'm
like women try and say, why do you still live with your brother? Why don't you want to live with me? And I try and explain to them that, one, I don't think I can be my most competitive without him. Two, I'm most emotionally stable with him. I like the idea. I'm most competitive with him. I'm my best version of me. If it doesn't matter if I have to go into a fight, doesn't matter if I have to run a business, I'm better with Tristan by my side than I would be by myself. And three, my ideal family life, even my ideal family, the way I live my life now, is very much more like a clan than a nuclear family. I like me, my girl, my kids, Tristan, his girl, his kids, my cousin, his girl, his kids. I like this idea of lots of people. I like that. I like that feeling. So girls say to me, well, you don't want a family. Like, no, I want a family bigger than you want. I just don't want to just sit with you. I want a lot of people around me, and I think it's better for that. And I think it's better for the children especially also. I think they enjoy it more. But yeah, I've got the best brother on the planet. I truly do. And this is why I'm saying some of our best days of our lives are in jail.
If I feel extremely happy and excited, I'm going to use that as motivation or energy to do amazing things and do good and work hard. If I feel absolutely depressed and distraught, I'm going to use that as endless energy and motivation to do amazing things and work hard. It doesn't matter what you give me. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted and transferred. It doesn't matter what fuel you give me. If you give me diesel, petrol, kerosene, vodka, doesn't matter what you put inside of my engine.
Hard work is going to come out.
Absolutely. Success. That's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
That's all I know how to do. It doesn't matter what fuel you put in my engine. My engine only knows how to do one thing, and that is succeed. That's all I know how to do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you feed me with. I'm going to be massively successful regardless.
Yeah.
Doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
I was now the oldest man alive in the Tate family. I had to look after my mother and my siblings and take care of people. I had to make a choice. Do I fly back to America and spend money and time and go to this funeral and, waste a few weeks? Or do I sit here and just focus on this enterprise and make sure that it cannot fail? And we talked earlier about speed. Most people go, it's only 2 weeks. It's only a week. It's only a week. The people who say it's only a week are the people who are broke.
They don't value time.
That's the reason you're all poor, because you say it's only a week. So, it's tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it later. It's only an hour. It's only a day. It's only a minute. You are competing against people like me. We do not waste a second.
I just personally could never sleep at night knowing, I got 100 million in property. I'm good. Because I'd be like, I don't have anything. I have to be quiet, and I have to be careful, and if they don't like me, they'll get me. That to me doesn't feel like ownership. Ownership is they can't take that off of me. That's true ownership. So you don't own property. It's a scam. It's a lie. Let me give you a quick story. I bought an Aston Martin DBS 3 months ago. I pulled up outside the hotel. I bought it in London. I pulled up at the hotel. I parked in the double yellow. I left it there. Traffic warden was right there. So I'm going to give you a ticket. And I said, bro, have you ever seen James Bond look for parking? Give me a fucking ticket. Don't care. Put a ticket on it. Went in the hotel. Stayed in the hotel come on, I'm busy. Stayed in the hotel for 4 days. Ticket. It came out to a window. It was on my Instagram before they deleted it. A window of tickets. Now, how do they enforce those tickets? Well, we said they'll take your home off you, right? I don't own anything. I don't even own that car. And the car's not in the country anymore. It's sitting in my house in Bulgaria. So now what the fuck are you gonna do? So I got thousands and thousands of pounds of parking tickets, and guess what happened? Nothing. Zero. Because I don't play by the stupid rules the Matrix tells me to play by. If I was Joe Schmo and I ignored them, I would lose my home. But me, I could turn up, tell them to get fucked, and do whatever I want. And what you'll actually learn is that much like parking tickets, pretty much all laws on Earth and all rules on Earth have there's an economic level to which you must adhere, and there's an economic level to which you don't have to adhere. Anything that's financial in and of itself is basically saying it's okay for rich people to do anyway. Let's say I agreed to pay the fine. Cool. I didn't have to look for parking. I paid $3,000. That's worth 5 minutes of my time. So it's basically saying it's okay for a price. So it's okay for rich people. It's not okay for poor people. Whenever there's a fine as a punishment, they're basically saying no poors, no brokies, or rich people can do it. Look at banks. They make billions of dollars breaking the rules and pay $1 million fine. It's okay for the rich. There's Not allowed to do it with poor. If you do that, if you pull off some fraud as a brokey, guess what happens? Jail time. Do the bankers go to jail? Fucking never. This is the whole way the whole entire world works. So, extrapolating that out, yes, at a certain economic level, there are things you can do and Aikido you can pull that make property fantastic. But as a brokey, it's bullshit.